Hi everyone, I'm Natalia. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be doing a deep, in-depth dive of Serpent of Ikons deck for all of you. I don't know about you, I'm a sucker for videos where people do a very deep dive, not just like showing the cards, but telling about the deck. So I'll be telling to you about this deck. My understanding is at least what the purpose of this deck, how to work with it, and 2 book recommendations for working with this deck. This is a very interesting deck. You can get it, I'm going to link it below on Antithema Publishing. It comes, you get a deck, you get a book that you do want to read. This beautiful, look at that, gorgeous, gorgeous book. The deck has color representations of the images in here. You can get it on Antithema Publishing. There's 2 options. This is a limited edition run of 900 copies. I have copies 373. My favorite number combinations, 3s and 7s. Anything that odd numbers. Oof, I just love that number combination. So I got 373. It's a limited run of 900 copies. They have another 33 special edition. They're leather bound and much more fancier, much more, comes with talisman type of version. And I think that one is around 700 Canadian dollars. This is 100 and I think 30 Canadian dollars, which was like around 100, I think something US dollars for me, which I think is a fantastic price point for a very art illustrated, in-depth, full, beautiful, special, spiritual item such as this one. So this is the book is written by Helena Van L, and I couldn't find her on social media. I'm not sure if she's on social media. And the artwork is illustrated by Shandi/AZK Postcotier. And Shandi, I follow Shandi on Instagram. I have conversed with Shandi and just recently asking confirmed about particular card in here. And Shandi is very approachable and just very generous with her time. Shandi also creates beautiful, one-of-a-kind, talismanic and spiritual and occultish jewelry. If you watched my videos that I did prior to this one, I'm wearing Lilith's pendant that is created by Shandi. So very interesting person. And Zach, not Tiger, Zach from Tiger Service has turned me onto this deck. He's the one who showed me this deck, and he's the one who just said, well, are you going to interview Shandi? And I just realized, of course, I should. So Shandi, I'm going to invite them, and hopefully they will be open to being interviewed on my channel, because I would love to talk to them about this. So let's talk about the deck. Now, I'm not going to go over the card size. I'm sorry, because you guys can get all of that information on Antithema Publishing, and I talk about that differently. So this is 32 cards deck. It is not only majors only, but it is more than that. It has extra cards in it. And in my opinion and experience with this is not meant to be seen and perceived like a standard tarot deck. Now, in the book, which if you do get this deck, I recommend reading. In the beginning, they say this is a sorcerer's distortion of Tarot de Marseille, and distortion it absolutely is. Not only is this distortion by addition of additional cards, but it is further a distortion of Tarot de Marseille, because what they have done is they have rearranged the way we would typically arrange majors in Marseille. So right here you have this where initially this card would go in any kind of standard tarot deck, and this is the numerically where they rearranged it. And I love that. I love that they rearranged it. And I would love to ask Shandi what was the reasoning behind it. The way I perceive rearranging the numbers of this deck is a way to, when I use this deck, it almost throws me out. My mind doesn't go immediately, oh, I'm looking at, oh, what card is this? This is card number 14. Oh, what is 14 in tarot deck? Oh, that's Temperance. Am I looking at Temperance? Why is Temperance here, number 20? I just do the opposite. I suspend all of that. I don't use any kind of tarot structure, so my understanding, I just go directly with this. I see this as its own individual system. I see this as its own individual structure. I see this as having and carrying some major archetypes, but in of itself being completely something else. And I'm glad that it is the way it is. I also know that Shandi is working on minors, so I think there's going to be an expansion of the stack. As far as I understand, I don't know for sure. So if you want to confirm, you can ask Shandi directly. But having said that, this is a very, for that reason, very, very special deck. In my understanding, reading the book, this deck is here to take you on a deep dive into yourself, into understanding who you are, what is your will here, what is your inner daemon. We're going back to the Hillman, and I have Hillman's here suggestion for you, presentation of the daemon. We're talking about this daemon as your inner acorn, your inner, if you will, your inner potentialities that within you that you have to realize. Think about acorn. There's individual like in of itself out of which a tree is grown. So this is how I see this this deck. And if you think about it, let's start with the name, Serpent Ikons. And they do a great job explaining in a book the Serpent Ikons. And I'm going to read to you. And I'll show you cards, by the way, too. I put them in order so that we can see how it goes, the progression of the cards. And I'll walk you through all of that. So let me get to my highlighted portions. The Serpent Icons is also to be seen and experienced as a celebration of the discussion found in the book of Genesis. That's right. Think about the snake that tempted Eve to eat the apple, and as a result, gained the knowledge and awareness between the serpent and the woman, and of the tantalizing proposition that the serpent brought to her. So think about it immediately, like we're talking about self-awareness, and then they go on to say in a different paragraph, operant, and they use the word operant in here instead of a magician or sorcerer. Operant is being used, which I love. Operant wants full self-awareness and consciousness and the autonomy, responsibility, and power to choose who and how to be in this lifetime. We are, as it were, indebted to the serpent for this intervention. Indeed, we are. So the serpent icons, which is this deck, images, texts, and rituals, are dedicated to supporting the operant in becoming ever more comfortable in the nakedness of self-awareness and consciousness. For this is a great work. Now, in terms of nakedness, we talk about here, and the cards purposefully, the art purposefully has this amazing smack in your face representation of our bodies and our bodies in different positions, and our bodies being sexually aroused, and our bodies with menstrual blood flow coming out of it and semen shooting out of it. It's purposefully done that on purpose because, and they say it in here, let me get it to you. They talk about here the nudity and how this deck has nudity in this for the person. On an aesthetic note, the serpent icon cards do not shy away from the rawness of the human body. Nakedness has a deeply symbolic element in this deck. And then they go on to say, Adam and Eve, the first thing that Adam and Eve did after having gained wisdom by virtue of listening to the serpent was to cover up their nakedness. They did this because they were afraid of God. So the nakedness portrayed in the serpent icon, so the nakedness portrayed in the deck is a deliberate revolt against the ludicrous fear of God and a visual statement against the cruelty of shaming oneself or others for their natural physical bodies. Also, they go on to symbolically say that nudity and nakedness symbolizes self-awareness, awareness that I exist, that it's, I'm here and now I see myself, and I see myself for good and bad, and it's that awareness breeds responsibility, accountability, breeds alignment with your will. So you see how this deck is fucking amazing. I mean, in my opinion, it's amazing. And as a psychologist, I think it's amazing psychological tool. I know that one of the viewers here doesn't agree that tarot should be used as a psychological tool, and that's fine. We all can see tarot for what it is. That's totally fine. But I gotta say, as a psychologist, that's how I see it. And it's actually primarily what my channel is about. So for me, this is like a perfect tool on doing inner self work. In the back of a book, what they have done, it's amazing. This is not just a book that explains each one of the icons, but in the back, they have what they call grimoire, where they have created a ritual for each one of the cards. So you draw the card, and then there's like a ritual described in the back of the book to go through in order to gain that closer self-awareness. But let me read a little bit more what I picked up in a book that I wanted to share with all of you today. It says here, the serpent, and by the way, this is the most witchy, like if you were to think about the most witchy, occultish tarot deck in my collection, I would say Aleister Crowley's Those Tarot and Serpent of Icons would be right then and there. It picks up on tradition, and the art to me feels very traditional witchcraft. Beautiful. And I'll show you the art in a minute. The serpent icon lends themselves to many disciplines such as witchcraft, alchemy, planetary magic, astrology, and ritual magic. Their derivation from and distortion of what the current Tarot de Marseille major arcana are, an act of transgression, beautiful, of the taboo of tarot tradition that we have subverted to make out of it something else. Mwah! I love it that you guys did that. Brilliant, fucking brilliant. We have chosen both to distance ourselves from Tarot de Marseille, but also to maintain the integrity of this tarotic institution which we honor. So you'll see it, because even though they're rearranged, they still indicate to you where things are, and some archetypes are still there. Another thing that I wanted to share here is the name. Now we know why it's called Serpent Icons, right? So serpent is to acknowledge that this is what gives you. It's almost a metaphor. This is what's going to bite you. This is the serpent that's going to whisper in your ear and say, "Hey, pick that apple off the tree and go ahead and eat that apple, and you're going to gain knowledge into yourself." This is the serpent. This is the wiggling. I'm like giddy because, you guys, I have to do a video. The amount of serpents stuff in my life is all of my jewelry is like, there's a snake there. This is a snake, Ouroboros snake. I mean, I have like taxidermy rattlesnake on my desk. I have everything is a snake. Every item I buy has a snake on it. The number of items that I have with snakes is it's fucking ridiculous, really. I mean, look at my lipstick bowl. Do you see this? I mean, what is going on there? So obviously serpents everywhere, and I'll do a video about that. And I'm also getting into reading a lot of literature about the left hand path, which I think is deeply misunderstood, because I hear people talk about it differently all over the place. And I'm planning to read a lot of books about it. And if you guys are interested, I'd love to share what I learned about it, because it's just interesting for me to learn. So we know the name serpent, but what about icons? Icons here implies the same concept of icons as in religion icons, and not as something you pray to or worship, no, but something as sacred, something that is just out of this world. I see each card as a window, but I see each card more as a mirror into myself, and I see each card more as a doorway also into myself. So I think these cards are really great if you do visualizing meditation to use as well. Let me see what else I want to share. They do get into, and they call the serpent icon, they have a chapter called the Royal Path. And at first, this deck, when I got it, I thought, well, this is completely feels like left-hand path to a T, but no, they make it very clear. While they do talk about what right and left path is, and they acknowledge there's a lot of disagreements, just like I picked up by looking at this information. They also say that they consider the word more, the one that they're looking more is more of a royal path. So let me find it where they talk about it a little bit. So here's a short description that they give of the left and right path. The major differences between the two philosophical approaches are as follows: reverence of the self as opposed to external deity, the self as power source, quotation marks, as opposed to an external beings. The deliberate creation of nishitari experiences to realize the essence and will of the magician, as opposed to the use of prayer and supplication to understand the will of a god, the use of magic to support and enable their realization of the essence and will of the magician, as opposed to the use of sacrifice and self-denial to please an external being, and post-death individuation of the self as opposed to the dissolution of the self, becoming one with the all. So it's a different type of path. And some people say that the way they would break it down is the right path would be a path of worshiping often monotheistic being, a god, and believing that there's an afterlife and following the path. And the left path as realization that you are a deity yourself, and all you need is yourself for magic. And you don't really need to draw power from anybody else. So some people would say it's that way. To sum up the book, I want to say that, here where they explain the royal path. We're describing the path embodied by the Serpent Ikons as a royal path, an approach to life as a deliberate, intentional, initiatory journey fashioned by the creativity and will of the operant. Isn't that beautiful? It is a path centered around the search for self-knowledge, the seizing of command and control of one's life, the spirit of adventure and joy, using every means necessary, especially magical ones. I love it. The Serpent Ikons philosophy and rituals are in oblation to the self and its daemon, again daemon, in the most sacred of experiences. One's life as deliberate, intentional, initiatory journey fashioned by the creativity and will of the operant. So you can see this is a very active deck. This deck means take action. Don't be a passive observant of life. You can create the life around you. You can create meaning in your life. You can create your own realizations. You can create your own growth. So it's very, I think it's really fucking great. So this is what I'm going to say about the book. You want to get the, well, you can't get the deck without the book. The deck is being sold with the book. So also note the precursors I would recommend before I show you all the cards and we wrap up. I don't even know how long it is. Lately, my videos have been getting quite long. They would recommend, they say, it should be noted here that Colin Wilson's, I don't know if anybody read Colin Wilson's. I have not read any of Colin Wilson's. New existentialism is elucidated in his Outsider series, is a philosophical underprinting of this book. Did you hear that? So Colin Wilson's New Existentialism is philosophical underprinting of this book. So I started reading this. I'm not far in. My understanding is that this is basically a different view on existentialism, not the one that is rooted and in Goya's. They say that the new existentialist has more in common with Nietzsche, Goyas than with Sartre or Camus, and also with Heidegger. If you ever read Heidegger, Time and Being, which puts me to sleep. It's like a sleep tomb. It's not easy to get through. So this is True Vision. So the way I understand this new existentialist by Colin Wilson, and I haven't read the book, I will do a review of the book later on when I read it. But my understanding is that it's aimed to not to have this kind of nihilistic, doomed existential perception of the world that we're all doomed and it's all meaningless, it all doesn't mean anything. But no, there is actually meaning in a world, and there is a mystical, spiritual meanings in the world, and you have the will to find that you have to be more conscientious and more conscious and more alive in order to experience it. So they recommend this book, which says it's underprinting for this. So I would recommend for all of you, if you're interested in this deck and you're serious about the deck, this might be a good book to get you teeth in. Now, as you know, I mentioned several times to get in touch with you, Damien. A really good book is James Hillman's Soul Code. I was very fortunate in grad school. We had to read all of Hillman's work, and we were fortunate to have Hillman come and lecture, which was phenomenal to observe. This is wonderful. He talks about Damien specifically, that soul's code, that acorn that you're born with. Sometimes we get lost, and not sometimes, a lot of times we get lost in a world. We forget our acorn because we're so inundated with so many concepts and ideas, and we get layered on with all the constructs and so on and so forth, that we really lose the touch with who we're really meant to be and how we're meant to walk this path. So these are the two books I would recommend in addition to this. Now, to sum it up, let me tell you, before I show the cards, let me tell you how I have been, and by the way, the references in the back of this book are great too. I picked up some books from the references alone. So the way that I use this deck obviously is for the self dive, self exploration, Oh, and yesterday, if you saw the video where I talked about the healing, destructive, and fragmenting psychological properties of tarot, you will see that I use this deck in the destructive category, where I need to destruct certain elements, certain layers of the ego that are no longer healthy for the ego in order for the healthy ones to come in. I also use this deck in my in any kind of my spiritual path. I would say, I wanted to say magical, but I don't know if magical applies to me at this point in my life rightly, but I would say in the spiritual path, I use it for a deeper dive. This deck likes to be chatty and talk to you, especially when you're going through big transformation in your life. It likes to almost illuminate what is happening. So this is how I use it. Trying to think if I have an oracle that I use with it. I don't think I do. I think I just use this deck by itself. So this is the cards I'm going to show you. This is the Void. Trying to see if there's like instead of flipping through the pages, I'm sorry guys, for me easier to show you all of the cards. I don't have to flip through the pages. I think there's a chart somewhere in the book of all of the cards here. Okay. So I'm showing you in arrangement that they have put it together, so you will see how it is not exactly MRSA. And by the way, also there was an interview by Shanti and Helena but from actually the place where I got the book from, Biblia Sophia. So I'm going to put it on, link it below for you to watch in case if you want to get this deck, but you want to hear a little bit more about creators' thought behind it and what they thought about it, and meet the creators. It will give you a good overview. So this is the Void. This is the Daemon, the Trickster, and I'm going by the names that they have assigned to the cards. Oh, how gorgeous that is. The Papassa, the Imperatrix Mundi. You see, I'm talk about the nudity and the body, and you see the semen shooting out of the penis. All of this is purposeful. All of this is meant to be there. This is the Emperor. This is the Pope. This is my favorite Pope. I don't know if camera catches ever. There's also other people who I think showed the cards that you can, if you really want to get up close images, you can. The Pope, Innocence, the Conjunction, fucking gorgeous, the Chariot, the Labyrinth, the Hermit, the Tree, the Hanged One, this Nameless One. We all know what a Nameless One is. One of my favorite death cards after Crawl is those death cards. The Ossuary, the Devil, the Dragons. God, I love that it has dragons in it. Strands. This is my favorite ever depiction of trans card. Just my favorite trans card. Justice, the Well. I love this Well so much. And in the book it talks about how you have to look and confront yourself. Like Medusa, you look at Medusa, you're afraid to look at Medusa because you're afraid you're going to turn to stone. But here you have to confront yourself. You have to look at yourself. I love that. Temperance. And Shanti said that this also could be the Red Goddess, the Whore Babylon. The Moon, the Sun, the Astrolabe, the stars, and they have two stars. They have Morning Star and Evening Star. There's two stars. The Spindle, the Weaving Loom, the Rising, the Flaming Tower, the Athanor, oh, gorgeous, and the World, which is Lilith. And this is, I confirmed with Shanti today, this is an extra card which is gorgeous. You can use it, you can keep it in and create its own meaning for you. You can keep it out of the deck. I keep it out of the deck. It's so gorgeous. I'm actually included in the deck. To me, it feels like Garden of Eden reawakened, reimagined. So these are the cards, as you can see, and I think this is a really, really interesting deck. I think it's a beautiful deck. I think it's a deck that has it's just like an oh my god, I'm at loss of the words. One of those cards that is information card. So if you're interested in this deck, keep in mind this is not your standard tarot deck. Of course, you can rearrange the majors, and of course, by rearranging the majors, you then get the standard. But I feel, to be honestly, to me, it feels like you will be stripping it away from its own intent, stripping it away from its richness, its wealth of information. And again, I don't think that this is like an everyday pull a card type of deck. At least it doesn't feel like that to me. It feels like a much deeper working deck. It is, like I said, the most witchy occultish deck. So I have a fly in my office. The most occultish deck I have ever seen. So yeah, comment, let me know what you think. Do you have this deck? How do you work with this? There's not a lot of discussion. I find that on YouTube sometimes we don't have a lot of discussions on decks like Josephine McCarthy decks, this deck, that are very different, one of a kind. There's so many renditions we talk about, which is fine, but these are such interesting, I think, departures, and I'm all here for the departures. I'm all here for a different type of journey. You know, I want to go on a different ride. I'm tired of a standard tarot ride, if you ask me. So comment below, let me know what you think. Are you excited about it? Is this for you? Is this like, oh God, no, this is definitely not for me? Let me know, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.